Hello everyone, I hope you're doing okay. So normally I make one video a day, so each chapter I do a different day. But because we're so close to the end and the last two chapters are pretty short, I decided to do 3 chapters in one day. So in chapter 10, he goes to the science fair with the project that someone in the president's office created for him. And he goes to the science fair and he wins. His project is amazing and he wins like best of show. So he wins like the best project in all of 4th grade. But he feels bad because it's not his project. He didn't do it. And he feels really guilty and he thinks that there's a lot of other kids that worked really hard and actually did their project and they actually deserve the award and not him. But before he's able to go talk to the judges, Miss Green comes over to congratulate him. She's thrilled because that's all she wanted. She wanted someone to win the science fair project. That was a big deal to her. And so, and if you remember, chapter 10 ended, and he asked Miss Green, "Would you like to try some of my lipstick on?" And she's putting his lipstick on. So moving on to chapter 11. Chapter 11 is called The Awards. Everything was going according to plan. At 1 o'clock, it was time for the public presentation of awards, and we all crowded into the auditorium. A few minutes earlier, I had gone out to the parking lot and had found Miss Green's car. I wrote down her license number on a piece of paper, all part of the plan. Inside the auditorium, I was shocked to see so many people. Nearly every seat was taken. On the stage, there was a row of chairs with distinguished-looking people sitting in them, and off to the right, a podium with a microphone. Below the stage were the awards spread out on 3 long tables. Right in the middle of the center table was the silver trophy. It was all polished and shined up and really looked beautiful. I waved to my mom and dad and grandpa, who arrived just as the first speaker stepped to the podium. I was glad they were late, which meant they would be sitting in the back of the auditorium and wouldn't be able to see what was going to happen. I didn't sit with them because all students were supposed to sit with their science teacher in pre-assigned rows of seats. I made sure I was sitting right next to Miss Green. It was all part of the plan. The speeches were long and boring. The way some of those people talked, you would have thought they had done all the work. I looked at my watch. I looked at Miss Green. I checked my pockets. In one pocket, I had a small mirror which I had brought from home. In my other pocket, I had a cookie. All part of the plan. A tall man with orange hair and wearing a checkered suit stepped behind the podium and began reading off the names of the winners, who in turn came forward and picked up their awards. There was a lot of noise and applause after each name was called. He had started with the grade school awards first, then he would go on to the high school awards, and then last, the grand prize, the silver trophy. I looked at my watch again. I looked at Miss Green, studying her face. I went over the plan one more time in my mind. Then it was time. "Miss Green," I tugged on her sleeve. "What is it, Alan?" said Miss Green, obviously annoyed that I was interfering with her enjoyment of the award ceremonies. "Is this the license number of your car?" I handed Miss Green the slip of paper. "Why, yes," she said, examining the numbers. "I believe it is. What of it? You left your lights on. I'm sorry I forgot to tell you before." "I did what?" "Your lights. I noticed them when I walked over here from the gym. I came right through the parking lot." "Are you sure it was my car, Ellen?" "Positive, Miss Green. That's why I took down the license number, just to be sure." So now, what difference would it make if her lights were on? Well, I could run her battery down, and then she wouldn't be able to start her car. Miss Green made her way to the aisle, then went out the side exit to the parking lot. I followed. I had to get Miss Green away from everybody, and I didn't have much time. Outside, I ran up to Miss Green, taking her by the arm. "You better hurry, Miss Green, before the battery goes dead." "You're right, Alan," she said, taking longer strides across the parking lot. "I hope we're in time." When we got to the car, Miss Green noticed immediately that her lights were not on. "I'm sorry, Miss Green," I said. I pulled a trick on you." "You what?" Miss Green's eyes narrowed. "You better have a good explanation for this." "I have," I answered, "but I want you to promise to hear me out. It will only take 5 minutes." Miss Green looked back across the parking lot to the auditorium. But you'll miss your award, Alan. This is more important to me, I told her. It is? Yes. Miss Green studied my face. Go ahead, Alan. I proceeded to tell her the whole story, right from the beginning. Everything. That's a lot to tell. Even about the lipstick project that wasn't mine, and about my promise to the president. I'm not breaking my promise to the president, I said, because I'm not going to tell you how it works. I'm only going to convince you that it does work. I don't expect you to believe me without proof, but I have the proof. Believe me, I have all the proof you'll ever need. All I want is for you to believe me, Miss Green. Miss Green scratched the underside of her chin, her eyes thin slits as she studied me. Let me see the proof, Alan. I reached into my pocket and took out the mirror and held it up to Miss Green's face so she could see herself. You're the proof, Miss Green. I've turned you into a plant. And there she is looking in the mirror. And that's the end of chapter 11. So, how do you think he did it? How did he turn her into a plant? All right, I want you guys to think about that before I move on to chapter 12, which is the last chapter. Oh, and I'm not going to give anything away here. Chapter 12, the silver trophy. So the whole thing about this is that Alan just wanted to prove that he actually did discover human photosynthesis, because it kind of sounds like he did. He turned green. I guess he could have had an allergic reaction, but it sure sounds like he kind of turned himself into a plant. But the government says we can't talk to you about it. It's top secret. And that kind of makes it seem like he actually did do it, but they can't discuss it. And now he's trying to convince Miss Green, because no one believes him. He's trying to convince Miss Green, and he goes, you need proof. You are the proof. I just turned you into a plant. So now the question is, how did he do it? All right, so that's where we're going to stop. So the next chapter will be chapter 12. That'll be our last chapter. So I will see you guys later. Bye.